It's okay. I mean, like, I think you're underestimating me a little bit.
I don't know if I am.
It's hard for you to understand.
Yes,
but sometimes you got to make the wrong move for it to be the right move.
Okay. What do you mean by
And
that?
I could get proved wrong. Maybe this is the dumbest move ever. If I do vote to evict you, but...
Well, I know you're going to vote to evict me unless I can convince you otherwise. I know that's your default position, which is fine.
And I like always, I'm going to have talks with almost everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And just see what's going on.
Okay, the way I'll paint the picture is you guys, out of anyone, have the hardest road to victory before this round.
Sure.
I think that's a fair assessment. You're huge physical threats. And if you look at those boards, this is the way I was playing this game at previous rounds. Who is the most well-connected? It was me, you, and Tim. We were the best connected in this house with people and had the least enemies and were able to hold on to many, many relationships in this house. But everyone knows that at this stage, like that me, you, and Tim, we're the best connected. I've dropped down quite a few notches now. I have like 3 arch enemies in this house.
Yeah.
And maybe 4, maybe 5, like, well, people who aren't necessarily enemies, but I'm not connected to anymore as a game player. But you haven't lost that, and that's not lost on anyone. And so by removing me from the game, you are hurting your own game. You can win the next HOH, and obviously I'll have no problem. But who do you think wins HOH next week and doesn't put you up? Other than maybe Tim and Nikki.
We're in a casino.
Yeah, okay, I don't know what that means.
I'm here to gamble a bit.
I don't know. It's not really a gamble if there's no function to it.
Doesn't need to be any function to it.
Like, are you just playing just to be weird? Like, just to do it?
No. I just...
Okay, I'll just ask, like, do you see my point, though?
Oh, yeah, man. Hundo. I do.
Like, my being here, if I'm a threat to you, that's one thing, and I understand that. If you're scared that I could win this game...
No, that's not why I would vote to evict you.
Then...
It's just...
You keep...
It feels like the right thing to do. I'm so sorry that's like... And if you said it to me, I'd completely understand.
I'd be able to explain it. I would never say it feels like the right thing to do, but...
It's because, Kate, I can think of so many scenarios where I would have, like, more things to say, but you're against Joel, and, like, I like him, and I like you a lot, if not more. Because we have more chats and more better talks, but...
Okay.
Like, you were apparently, like, very big behind the scenes, like, with Levita and, like, in plans and...
So
and
your
like,
motives are coming from the people who literally last week pledged to get you out of this house. And you don't think that they'll do that. And you don't think that their odds of winning are reasonable next week. And even if you win HOH next week, what happens the week after? If you don't care about the game, just say it and I'll walk away.
No, I care about the game. It's just...
Then I won't walk away. Like your blind spot in this game.
It very well could be.
It is, considering literally, not even just last week, literally he would say on a daily basis that you and Kelsey flirting would piss the fuck out of him. I know this because I was one of the closest people to him. That's why he at some point was like, Kelsey leaving is okay because I will not be so mad about the relationship that the brothers have with her. If you don't think that still doesn't irk him,
whatever,
but he's able to hide it, you're wrong, because I've seen him hide things like that from people. I've seen him talk about you guys literally after we talked to you on the table there and you were getting angry about Ramsey looking down. I was in a room where he told Ramsey, you were saying like, fucking Ramsey is so fucking annoying, whatever. because he was building a case to get you out to multiple people in this house. It will happen. It still comes down to chance. It still comes down to HOHs and the way things are played. But I just think you're fighting against your own odds. I know. I think you think you're 4 in that group, and I think Cassandra thinks she's 4 in that group. And the things they've said about Cassandra to me before this week are things that would really hurt her as well, like emotionally. And I may say some of those things to her that because she needs to know. And that's why last week you two were the people they would go after. Even Kelsey herself has said some things about Cassandra that obviously they never intended me to know and then tell Cassandra, because at the time we were all working together. I know what they're capable of. Raul was able to lie to me 10 minutes before, straight face, and laugh his head off in a way that I thought was really comforting and nice about who was going on the block. And he did the same thing with Nikki as well. All of them are capable of lying and are really good. Like, Jared is really good at making people feel like they're his closest friend. And if you watch season 1, that's what everyone said about Emmett. Emmett didn't win the game, but his showmans did. And now there's a third. There's a 3-person alliance. Can you name one alliance that has had that level of loyalty to each other? Kelsey and Raul wouldn't even campaign against each other. They cried. And they're not even the showman's part. Think of how far last season. This, to me, this is like a moment when JP went home. Where, like, not in terms of the characteristics or people, but JP was Zach's closest ally, but Zach also had Ashley. Like, they had an alliance. And yet, even when JP still went home, think of how far Zach went in the game. If JP had stayed, it probably would have, Zach would have made it even that extra bit farther. No guarantees. It still comes down to challenges that host luck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But these are the moments you can control in this game. You can't control who is going to be most physically suited for the next challenge or who's going to have the most luck in the next challenge. But I know my staying here is a way bigger fear for that 3 than Joel. And they'll work him as well to say, Joel, we're going to save you. We're fighting for you this week. We got you. We're your friends. And if you knew the mean things they've said about him, or we've talked about people making fun of Joel, or making fun of Nikki, or making fun of Lavita, those 3 hold a lot of responsibility for those kinds of comments. And that's getting personal, and that's not even the game talk. I know it's not an easy decision, and it puts your game and Cassandra's game in a sort of vulnerable position where things become unknown. And I think that's why it's a scarier, riskier move with a higher reward. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I agree with that for sure.
It is the riskier move, but it is a higher reward. And no matter what that threesome, their eyes will all be on me next week if I'm here. Especially if it is, say, a 6-2 vote. Like, they can't pinpoint anyone else in the group. Mitch is at fault, which buys you rounds. Or you win HOH next week, and if you really do want me gone, you still have a chance to get me out. Or they win HOH, and they come after me, or I win HOH, and I go after them. Everyone in this house...
Well, I mean, if you stay, I vote to keep you, let's say, they win HOH, I'm going on the block beside you.
Potentially, unless they really want me out that bad. That they, what I think is if I'm here...
And you and POV were gone for sure.
No. If I'm here, they won't expose their other cards. They'll put me up to Nikki. For sure. They know she's a vote that would keep me, unless it was maybe against you guys or Tim. It would be like a little more up in the air. And there's no way they would risk fucking and upsetting 2 people. I'm already pissed, so they put me on the block no matter what. But they're not going to show you your card until they know they can get you out. And if they put you and me on the block, they risk maybe you staying, maybe me staying, and they're still fucked. So they won't do that. They'll put me and somebody who's perceived as weak that will have a less likelihood of getting voted out over me. But if I'm not here, then they'll either come straight for you and a weak player in the same way. They won't want to upset. It'll either be like you and maybe beside Nikki as well. Like, why would they show Ramsey and Maddie their cards? They're telling Ramsey and Maddie right now that they want to have a final 5. That's what I was just told. And I'm sure they're telling you and Cassandra the same kinds of things. I'm sure. They're so good at gripping people. And I was gripped by it as well. But I actually think I was working with them for them and in their best interest. And it's scary how I was able to be deceived in that way. And I know for my own purposes, like, it's because information came into this game, and like I'll accept that. Whether